Hey, what's going on, you savages? Welcome to the show. So I'm fired up for today's episode, based completely off of a recent experience and a conversation with my kiddos. But it was a pretty solid observation, and so I'm hoping you guys will dig it. Before we get started, do me a solid, head over to traviscrutcher.com. You know the deal over there. All things speaking, coaching, podcast, consulting, etc., etc. Also head over to teardownapparel.com. I think I've said it before. Pretty sure I have. Flex fit hats are there now. New designs are going to be dropping probably this week or next week, but I'll keep you guys posted. I was busy, all right? I took the last week off, damn it. And then head to thealphainitiative.com. That is that free collaborative space with myself and a couple awesome creators just pumping out stuff for you to help you get right and get through your days, all that good stuff. So hopefully you'll check that out. Hopefully you dig it. I'm going to now shut up so I can thereby talk some more.
Welcome to Not Sorry with Travis Crutcher, the show where Travis will say some things that might trigger you, offend you, make you laugh, or even motivate you. So, if you're not easily offended, stick around and enjoy. On the other hand, if you are easily offended, listen anyway. Then go tell everyone how triggered you were. Either way, you can be certain of one thing. Travis is not sorry.
All right, here we go. So I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's June. He's gonna talk about pride. No, I'm not. You know why? Because I did that shit last year. So go back and check that episode out. Not gonna hit on it again. You guys know what I think. Anyway, so what I am gonna talk about though is diversity. Right? Oh, what diversity? Travis, you can't talk about that. Sure, I can. Watch this. It's interesting because I work with a lot of corporate clients and I work with a lot of teams in the corporate space and even, looking backwards towards the military the way it is now, and you've got these talking heads talking about, diversity is our strength, right? And that is the big buzz term out there. And it's been pretty prevalent over the last, 6 months to a year. That's really been like the thing they're pushing. Diversity is our strength. So to a degree, I agree, right? To a certain extent, I'm on board with that. I think that you need diversity in the landscape of people. That's how we get new ideas. That's how we come up with, innovations and shit like that. It's very important. I agree. But that's not the messaging, right, that they're wanting. And what I've seen, as a byproduct of this and other initiatives with this diversity as our strength is diversity has become divisive, right? Diversity has become a tool to divide. And it's interesting. So to give you guys context, last week, spent the week with my tribe in Disney World. It was the shit. It's our favorite place, my favorite place on the planet, because I get to just hang out with my kids and my family, and I don't have to really dad too hard, right? I do. I micro-plan the shit out of everything schedule-wise. But then once it's down, like once it's, inked and etched in stone, then I don't stress, right? So that's why I love it. But we were there, and I've talked about this on Not Sorry with Jess before. We've used this as an example, but Disney is a wonky little microcosm of Earth, right? You've got people from literally all over the planet that have converged on this one spot. And so there is diversity like you haven't seen before in your life, right? And you'll walk through and hear 5 different languages in the span of, less than a city block, right? So people from all over the planet are in this place. And what's crazy is so you've got diversity big time, but there's no division, right? Because we've all agreed why we're here. And what I mean by no division, I mean like it is damn near a crime-free zone, right? Like here's something crazy. If you've never been, right, there's something called stroller parking. Right? And this is all over the park, near every attraction, there's stroller parking. And what people do, my tribe included, is they park their stroller with like all their shit in it in this wide open space next to a bunch of other strollers with everyone else's shit in it. And you walk away from 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how long you have to wait in that line, or if you're in for dinner or whatever, right? So up to an hour, you're away from all your shit. And guess what happens to it while you're gone? Not a fucking thing. Nothing. No one fucks with your shit. And guess what? If your stroller is moved, it's only because the people who work there have put it in a better spot, so it's easier for you to get to when you come off the ride. So here we are in a place with people from all over the planet, diversity, and it's like a no crime zone, and everyone gets along, and everyone's happy, right? Because we have an agreement of why we're there. And so while we're there, right, I'm having a conversation with my oldest, and I'm pointing that out to him because it's one of my favorite, like, not advertised things about Disney World is this weird little agreement we all, walk into saying we're not going to be douchebags while we're here, right? And he's like, it's so counterproductive or so counter to what he's seen in the landscape on social media, on the news, and all these places that what he's seen is there's divisiveness and that, you know, everyone's at each other's throats all the time. And he's not wrong. Like that is what you see. If you're on X, right, if you're strolling through that feed, you're going to see violence like crazy, people lashing out against each other. And there's all this rage and pent up hostility, right? That's what you're seeing all the time. Now, I walked into a world where all these same people were at and no one felt that way. No one was acting that way. They're using diversity as a divisive tactic. And I was trying to tell him, like, buddy, it wasn't like this when I was growing up, right? And it was a weird thing that I popped up to mind, but it's such a great example. Like if you're Gen X, you know, or in the, what do they call us? The Zennials, right? That micro generation between X and millennials. So if you're in X or Zennial, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Who remembers the Family Values tour, right? I tried to tell my kiddo about this because he, you know, growing up, he listened to some hip hop stuff. He listened to some metal stuff. He kind of followed in his dad's footsteps musically, right? But I was explaining to him, like, dude, you understand? Like we almost cracked the code on the racial divide in the fucking late 90s, early 2000s, man. And I told him about the Family Values tour and how wild it was to have, like, you had Deftones and Korn with Ice Cube and Method Man and fucking Rammstein. And, you know, it just this wild conglomeration of artists that came together for this crazy tour that it was metal. It was fucking, you know, you had Orgy there, which is kind of like a fucking electronic sound, right? Flyleaf was a Christian band. I mean, you know, just this weird conglomeration of sounds. And everyone showed up. And you know, so he's been to rock shows with me and he's starting to get it because you go to a rock show, right? There's diversity there. I mean, I go to some crazy shows with my guy and there's people of all different colors, all different creeds, all different backgrounds, all different genders, et cetera, right? Diversity like you wouldn't believe, but we've all come into agreement that we're here for a particular cause, right? We're here for a reason. And so no one acts like an asshole. I mean, very rarely, right? Unless the booze starts talking, but it's very rare that anyone goes to a rock show and gets fucked with because most people are there under the unspoken agreement that we're here to do this thing together and make the most out of it. So here's what I want to see happen, right? I want to see the Disney and rock show vibe come out in the nation as whole, right? It is great to have fucking diversity so long as it doesn't cause division, right? This tribal bullshit we're doing, right? All the fucking people saying, here's my line in the sand, here's my little clique, here's what we're about, and fuck everyone else. That shit's got to end, right? Diversity is great, but we only win through unity, right? And so with those examples I shared, the Disney World thing, the rock show thing, there's a unifying agreement, right? We're here unified to do this thing together. And I kind of feel like it's time for the nation as a whole to unify under what it means to be a motherfucking American. It's crazy to me to see these videos of the younger generation, like, you know, being triggered babies on the internet. I walked by an American flag and it hurt me. Fuck you, dude. You don't understand how amazing that flag is and what it really stands for. If you're believing the bullshit that the media is telling you about what America is and it's bad and it's evil, you're fucking crazy, right? The ideals that the country is founded on are amazing. Like it's the anniversary of a loss for me, you know, and it's another guy that I lost overseas. And it's one of those things where when I reflect on that loss and the sacrifice of my friends, and it's like, dude, they died for something that unified us, something that brought us together, an idea of something greater, a place where diversity didn't divide, right? Where it only unified us to show that, yes, we are all from different walks. We all are different colors and creeds and backgrounds and everything else, but we can unify under the umbrella of what it means to be American, right? And that, I think, it's just so lacking. You know, it's so fucking weird to be a civilian sometimes because I see this wonky world that civilians operate in, and the you know, the talk of racism and prejudice and all this shit, and it's like, boy, I know that there probably was some, but where I came from in the infantry, you didn't see a lot of it. I mean, I didn't directly experience it. I had a lot of close friends that were black dudes and Mexican cats. Like my best friends, in fact, you know, were not white dudes, with the exception of one, Chewy, right? My ride or die. But it was like everyone was here for the same reason. So I didn't give a fuck what color they were. I didn't give a shit where their family was from. I didn't give a fuck how they prayed, right? I didn't care about any of that stuff. I just cared that we all agreed to be here for this purpose and go do this thing together. And it's just crazy that we live in a nation that gives us all these rights and privileges to be who we want to be, to express ourselves how we want to express ourselves. And we're not even looking at that across the board going, oh, well, that at least that unifies us. That's an American thing, right? Because I couldn't pull this shit in the country that I say I'm supporting, right? I couldn't wave this fucking flag in the country that I want to say free them, because they'd fuck me up. There's so many things that we take for granted that should unify us, right? I don't know. It's more of a thought and a rant than a call for action, I suppose. But if you see it in your world, if you see these commonalities, right? These simple human American commonalities that should bring us together, shed a light on that shit. Be the one to say, hey, no, fuck that. This is what brings us together, right? Even the fact that we can have fucking social discourse, that is an American thing. That shit doesn't exist elsewhere. You'll get fucking thrown in jail for protesting. You'll get thrown in jail if you don't agree with the leadership, right? Fuck America? No, you're crazy. Just the fact that you can say that is a fucking American thing. So quit using your bullshit platforms of diversity to divide the fucking nation. Mainstream media is fucking guilty as shit when it comes to this, because you can't turn it on without seeing them perpetuating this notion that we are just fucking tearing each other apart. And we're letting them get away with it instead of looking to our left and right, to the real people that are right the fuck in front of us and going, hold on a second. That's not my day-to-day experience. That's not real. That's some bullshit they planted in my head. They want everyone to be a victim, right? If you haven't had your turn in the chute yet, I promise it's coming. Sooner or later, you're going to start feeling like you're owed something, that you're a victim because you're part of whatever marginalized fucking group, right? It's run the gamut. It's time to fucking put an end to it and fuck them, right? And them being the ones that are perpetuating this nonsense that's tearing us apart. The scariest fucking thing for a tyrannical government is a unified populace. Trust it. The greatest nation in history, the greatest empire ever to exist was Rome. They got taken over and fucking conquered by a unified group of fucking peasants, right? Because they got too big for their britches, and the fucking common folks said, fuck this, I've had enough, and they unified and got together. They are afraid of us getting along, and that is why they're keeping us at each other's throats, and they're doing it under the pretense that it's good for you and you're owed it, and that's bullshit. What you're owed is pretty much written out in the Constitution. That's only because someone was lucky, you were lucky enough to be born here, or someone had to work their ass off to get through the immigration system and do it the right way. That's why you're an American. That's fucking cool. You should fucking stand up for that. You should be proud of that shit, and you should unify with the diversity around you rather than have it be the thing that divides us. That's it. Rant complete. Sorry, but not really. Check the title of the show. Anyway, fucking love you guys. Hope you dug it. Hope you took something away from it. And I will talk to you next time. Later.